So I, against my better judgment, decided to play as killer again yesterday for the first time in what must have been at least 2 or 3 weeks. And I would say that most of the matches were all right. You know, I always have to explain to people there's like certain stuff that's done that I'm not really a fan of. Like people bring keys. I have to always tunnel the person that has the key because they'll do the generators, someone will else will die, and then they find the hatch and them and whoever else escapes. Um, but I would say that most of the matches were fun. Even the ones where I didn't defeat everyone or kill everyone, I still thought were, enjoyable. And for whatever reason, it feels like if I just play the game long enough, maybe from like sometimes it's the first match too, but just maybe for 3, 4, 5 matches back to back, there's always this one team that I can't describe as anything other than what I term a sweat squad, where basically they show up and they're doing generate because I've mentioned before that when I play solo queue, which is where you play with a bunch of random people, it's always terrible, almost on every instance. And this is highlighted by teammates that don't do generators. I was in one match where there wasn't a generator done until it must have been about 8 minutes into it after two people had already died. It was just this game can be really irritating to play by yourself, and then when you play as killer to then see these groups that are just so they do these generators very fast. You have two members of the group that have flashlights. Let me explain what that is. Flashlights enable a person to have the chance to save someone when they're picked up by the killer. So for example, let's say I knock somebody down, they get hit twice, they're on the ground. I pick them up. It takes me a moment to lift them. And then this other survivor who has a flashlight shines it in my face, and I drop the person, and then they get a second chance to now have me chase after them for the next, 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes. And while I'm doing that, the generators are continuing to be worked on and finished at the same time. So this group had two people with flashlights. It had gens going off must be every other minute. And by the end of it, I was just very fed up. And I remember there was one match last year that was so awful in terms of just like how it seemed as if no matter how much you chase this person, you can't catch up to them. No matter what you do, you just can't catch them. Um, that I by the time the last generator was done and they were going to the exit gate, I didn't even chase after them. I just gave up. I just stood there in line, and then because survivors are pricks and they're we said this before, they're not gracious in defeat and they're not gracious in victory. They start shining the flashlight in my face as they can just leave. And I've seen them do this multiple times. There was another match where the same thing happened where I went to go I actually got so sick of this that I went to the to go hide in the I don't want to say hide, but just like be out of view of them, just go in the killer shack. And sure enough, one of the people on this team, not this team from last night, mind you, just another example, came to where I was. And I guess they assumed that I just put my phone down or something and shined the flashlight in my face. And then I, stabbed them with the knife. And then, that's when they realized that I was still there and just over that match. And I just think about how a lot of people will trash someone for DCing or rage quitting. And I guess what's always been frustrating to me is to have played as killer, and I can show you screenshots where I've had people rage quit against me, where they just give up, and you can tell because it will say zero by their name, and no one ever seems to get any kind of punishment for this. They never get in any trouble, and it's like you can't expect me to just sit here and put up with really nasty, frustrating, and annoying behavior by these survivors, and not want to retaliate in some manner, whether that's just not playing as killer altogether, as I've been doing for the last couple of weeks, or just turn it off right then and there. And I always say to people that I don't have a problem with you play against some really good team and you can't catch them, and they do all the generators, and that's it. But there's certain stuff that survivors do. Let me close this window. As I was saying, there's certain stuff that survivors do that lends itself toward the idea of being um, very nasty for just because you can be. So, for example, a lot of them when they open the gate after all the generators have been done, they won't just leave, and win the match by default from having exited the game. They will stand in the exit gate and wait for you to see them leave. And some of them will do this thing that I also hate, where let's say they're the only person left. They'll find the hatch, and then they'll sit on top of it until you find them. And some of them will because they're so insistent on teabagging, will drop a pallet and then they'll keep jumping back and forth on the pallet, to where it alerts you of where they are. And it's gotten to a point where now I've even had one person who rage quitted because I wouldn't let them teabag me. It's like, just go, just leave the match, just get lost. You've already won. What else? Like, I don't understand. Let me say this. I've had times where I've won by getting the hatch. I've had times where I've been the only person that survived, whether that was for doing the exit gate, whatever. I have always immediately left unless it was to try to get somebody else, heal them, get them off the ground, get them off a hook. I don't do this to other players. And it's extremely frustrating. And it's all the more reason why I'm just so tired of this game. So don't expect another DVD edited video for me until maybe December of this year or some other later time, because I just the enjoyment I had out of this game really is at its bare minimum. And it's extremely disappointing that that was a day that was filled yesterday with mostly fun matches, um, where the teams weren't like the best ever, but they also weren't gen rushing me. So I could put one person on the hook, then I'd go to leave, then they get that person off the hook, and I've already got another person. I put that one on the hook. Um, it was just a much more relaxed thing. Like I feel, and I mentioned before, I don't record the killer matches ever, except one time by accident where I just left my thing on after recording a Survivor match, because I feel an extreme amount of stress and pressure that I don't feel when I play as Survivor usually. And there's just a level of frustration that I don't feel like documenting is the best way to put it, because some of these teams it's as if every game is the exact same thing. Gen rush, you got 3 people on one generator, which you can finish a generator in less than, I think, 40 seconds if that many people are on it. You have another person who, if they're being chased by the killer, they're like pre-dropping pallets, and they I hate this so much. They do this annoying thing with the flashlight where they just keep just over and over to like to purposely annoy you. And by the end of it, you're just sick of the whole thing. Like, some of those teams, when they start doing I don't even want to bother anymore. I'll just stand there. Remember, this is the same group of people who, when they lose, they DC. If you're playing this on PC, they write nasty stuff to you at the end of the chat. In some cases, they report you for winning. But I'm supposed to, like, I guess, be honorable toward them and make sure they're having fun and chase them around when they act like when they're doing all this ridiculous extraneous stuff. And again, doing generators is the bare minimum. Having 3 people or 2 people with flashlights to where I can't even pick someone up, because if I know that the second I do, and then some of them have these crutch perks, because we haven't talked about this before. And I'm going to read Akatsuki Merchant's comment in a second, but crutch perks are a term I use to describe perks in the game that give people second chances, that are basically attempts to mitigate being punished for, losing or not winning in some particular instance. So, for example, a well-known crutch perk is this one called what's a good example of it? Dead hard. Basically, a killer's really close to you and is about to hit you because they're right next to you, and then you use this dash move, and it makes you go further in front of them, and basically like a 5 second, like it how to explain it? It makes you quickly dash in the front to where when they hit you, you dodge it. Um, this has saved plenty of people. You've had some people say it's the best perk in the whole game, and I've seen so many people have it too. Um, Another perk is borrowed time, where if you have a killer who is camping or tunneling, so they're trying to get the same person out of the game as quick as they can. Borrowed time basically gives them 2 hits instead of one to go down, as would be the case if someone who didn't have this perk took them off the hook. So if you hit them and they're in the state where if you hit them, usually they would go down, be like knocked to the ground once with 1 hit. Now they have two. They get a little bar that shows up, which is completely useless because it only drains itself if they just stop moving. Um, so they get 2 hits instead of one from some other person having this perk when they rescue them. What's the other stupid one? Um, there's some other perk, I'm forgetting its name, where you pick the person up for the second hook stage, and then they do like a thing where they stab you in the neck, and they're able to run away. It's another second chance crutch perk. And I'm guilty of using some of those as well. I use adrenaline on usually everyone, um, which is where when all the generators are done, you instantly heal by 1 health state. Um, but even then, I always felt that one is the least a bit worse of these because it requires all of the generators being done. And a lot of times people who are like very adamant about being healed are already healed. So it still is not as bad as these other ones. Like I've seen whole teams that just have the same 3, 4 perks over and over. Okay, yeah, people like to do that because they're losers who don't have much going on in their life. So being an expletive online is their only way to feel like they're relevant. These people don't care about playing a fair game. They just want to win. It's an ego thing, and it's very sad to watch. Well, for me, it's not even just about being fair. It's just like so much, toxicity. Like imagine having a game where we can't even in the game we can't even talk to each other, and you act like this. You're able to like demonstrate how nasty you are through these various things that I just mentioned here. Now, Akatsuki merchant, I want to ask you something. You understand that in current times, in the current era, people are not able to, and there are some exceptions, but you generally speaking, you know that currently when people go to jobs, they have to wear a face mask, so you can't see their lips, right? And how do I explain this? So, Akatsuki merchant, let's pretend you're a customer and you come into a place and you're upset because something didn't go through, whatever, and then an employee who had nothing to do with whatever issue you currently have, you start to state your issue with it to them, and the employee is listening to you, and they're wearing their mask, and they say, mhm. Would you be offended by this? Would this bother you? Would this upset you to where you would then mock that person? I'd love to know, because I just there's a serious mental illness in people, and I'm not even saying this to be funny. I'm not saying it to be comedic. I think that there's something wrong with a lot of members of society. Um, Sometimes when I speak to a person, especially if I'm wearing a mask and they can't see, my lips, or if I'm talking to them over the phone, or if what's another example? I'm trying to show that I am listening to them. I'll nod my head as they're speaking to me and maintain eye contact with them as well. And I'll also say, "Mhm," as I'm, trying to take in whatever they're stating. And I've never had a person in real life demonstrate an issue with this. So 2 days ago, I have this woman who is, I guess, upset over something that happened with the device, and she basically says, how to explain it? Like, she's describing what bothers her, and I'm listening to it, and then she like mockingly, like in a way of mocking me, goes, "Mhm, mhm." And I was so disgusted by this. Of course, I didn't say anything because employees always have to put up with all the ridiculous stuff that people like to do. But I was just thinking to myself, isn't it sad that we live in um, an era where it's like if you're an employee of a company, you're like the slave to the customers. Like they can talk to you any kind of way they want. They can curse you out. They can insult you. They can be very nasty and hostile. Even if you're trying to be as attentive to them as you possibly can be toward another human being. Um, and then I had another person who, for whatever reason, because we talked about how everybody hates men, um, just people are not sympathetic to men. We've been over this before. This person said, "Well, I wasn't there, but you can't just say when someone is." It's like, wait a second, you're going to say that you weren't there, so you don't know what happened, but then you're also going to try to crucify me for having a verbal tick that shows that demonstrates I'm listening to the person. And then they got upset because I was saying, just I don't know, man. People are so weird. Like the way they act and how angry they get over and everything. It's just I don't get them at all. And I don't know what other way you're supposed to communicate that you're listening to someone and not interrupt them. Like you're maintaining eye contact with this person. You're nodding your head to show that you understand what they're saying. It's just a really rude thing that bimbo did, and I don't understand why I should feel bad for genuinely attempting to understand whatever her issue was, and then her like retaliating by being very rude. You know, but that's why I said that people don't care about men. Like when people do things to us that are unprovoked and that we didn't do to them, we're just supposed to like put up with it. And it's not even just that, but also like when you vent or show your frustration. Because I always say that I'm pretty good about not expressing my disdain for some of the stuff that people for some of the things that people do directly to them. But if I'm amongst a person who I believe I can kind of let my guard down with and just tell them about how this person did really upset me because I was trying to do this, that, and the other. It always feels like there's that one person who, for every scenario, can find a way to like twist it into being your fault. Like it's my fault that a woman who was already upset when she came into this place um got upset with me for as I'm listening to her trash, nodding my head and saying, I just I don't understand, and but that's why I said, you know, this is why men are suicidal. This is why a lot of men don't even confide things that bother. Because what's the point? You always have someone to castigate you. You always have another person who can flip it into being your fault. Like imagine what it would what how different this person would view things if I'm a customer. I go into some place, whatever, and there's a female employee, and I'm like telling her about this thing that's bothering me, and she says, and she's nodding her head, and I go, I would be seen as rude. I would be seen as being disrespectful towards someone who tried to listen to what I had to say, was trying to get all of it in so they could attempt to accommodate whatever my issue was. Nobody would be able to flip that on that woman in this hypothetical and say that I was um, reacting in a way that made any type of sense, based off of what was done beforehand by the person. Yeah, man, that's why I don't have a lot of faith in the goodwill of people, nor do I trust anyone. A lot of cutthroat snakes and self-centered a-holes who are out to take advantage of people. Yeah, I just thought that thing on Tuesday was so rude for like no reason. And I guess the other part of it is we all have little like I guess verbal tics. Some of us maybe I don't know stutter when we speak. Some of us maybe repeat ourselves. I've been accused of that, for example. But I just think if you are in a position where you're trying to help a customer and they're already angry when they come in, and then they feel they can mock you for whatever verbal tick you may have, that's from experience does not bother anyone else that comes in that store. I just don't get where you're supposed to feel bad because this person was already angry before they even showed up. I don't know, man. People just I don't. I said before I don't care about views and money, but sometimes when I just think of how rude these people are at these like real life positions, I do wish I was famous on YouTube because at least then I wouldn't have to put up with like just people being really gross for no reason. Like I always say that there are certain customer employee interactions that are justified. I've seen some employees that are rude to a customer, um, like from the way that they speak and the things they're saying. But I just don't understand how you barely spoke. This person barely said a word to you, and you act that way. And then you tell this to someone, and they're able to flip it into being your fault. And then I was talking to this same individual. This was right before the stream started, by the way. They called me, and I called this woman not there, but just like when I'm talking to them, like a B word because I feel like something like that is very indicative of a person who's like that. And again, I said this in the privacy of a conversation with another person, not to that woman's face because I am professional if I'm in a place of employment. And this person responds by saying, "Well, what are you going to do if someone calls you a black N word?" I'm like, are you like new to interacting with me? People have been calling me racial slurs, especially online, for years. I remember the school I went to for 12th grade. I had Hispanic classmates who called me the N word multiple times, and this person retorted by saying that there are Hispanics who think that the N word is something that it's like, yeah, but the point is they still said it. I had a guy a couple of years ago who would come to my video just to write the N word, just post that on different videos, and I had to ban that person to get them to stop. It's like it's so funny that I'm supposed to feel like I don't know what point they were trying to make. I've had people say all kind of insulting stuff to me. No, like none of this is new. I'm simply saying that it always feels a little bit more disturbing when it's in real life and it's all the more unwarranted that you haven't done something to someone but they act this way toward you. I just don't get what point they were trying to make by retorting and that it's like, yeah, I'm not new to getting insulted. Why do you think I did the video? I've been criticized for everything. People insult me over anything they can find. I had a person make a stream 2 years ago about my couch. Like it's not new that people are just insulting and nasty. I'm just tired of getting blamed for things I didn't do or for things that are out of my control. I had the same person. They were so surprised when I mentioned that I wouldn't be alive in 30 years. I said, well, if you just look at the trajectory of this stuff, it sucks. Like, what? You're going to tell me that I should be optimistic about the future when you've had 10 years of, for example, the woman stuff being the same thing every year, where you talk to some different set of them and they say things to make it seem as if they're interested in you, and then, oh, not really. Like, would you expect a person who's tired of that same thing happening year after year to not want to end it all at some point? the person who feels like there's way more negativity and nastiness associated with doing the most simplest of stuff than there needs to be. Like, imagine wanting to edit on a website. We're not even talking about WikiPiss. We're talking about the other stupid wiki from a couple of days ago. Imagine wanting to edit on a site where only two people edit regularly, and you've got the mod breathing down your neck and randomly deleting your stuff and with no explanation. You're like, man, I came here out of the kindness of my unpaid heart to just contribute, to a topic I thought was interesting. And then because you want to have a power trip, ego trip, whatever you want to call it, you delete the stuff I actually took the time to think about before I wrote, which is basically a slap in the face to me. And then you expect me to still want to contribute to your barren wasteland of a wiki. Which, by the way, he complained about me saying, all good in my message, confronting him over. I said I didn't respond yet. I might, maybe. I'm just like, I don't care about my tone of voice when these people act this way. Like, at least if you work a job, the only reason you even act cordial toward those people is because you're worried about, like not getting paid, or like there's some kind of like actual ramifications for that. On this website that I'm never going to edit again, you damn right I don't care what I say to you. And me saying all good is a lot nicer than anything else I could have said. But see, at least in that instance, my hostility is specifically caused by what I feel is an improper treatment of me. So if I come to a site and I contribute, and then you randomly delete stuff, what other way would I be expected to react to that? Like, would you be happy if if I was editing a website with you, the audience, specifically a Kotsky merchant, and then after you spend a couple of days writing different stuff, I just start deleting things with no explanation given? That wouldn't upset you? You wouldn't feel like you're not being appreciated for being the only other person that edits this trash besides me? That's why I said that, like, all of when you really get me upset over something, you do it, you cause it. I don't just get mad over things that, you know, there would be no explanation to be upset over. I just think it's amazing that that scenario I gave was actually flipped on me by this person, because I haven't really addressed it with that many people. It's been like three other people, but the other two, were sympathetic. They understood why that would, you know, bother or upset me. And I think I handled it in a decent way. You don't curse the person out. You don't call them out of their name. You don't try to argue with them. You just attempt to compartmentalize it and go assist other customers, while some other employee that is better suited to deal with that issue attempts to assist that very rude person. Maybe I just don't have the experience of being a prick for no reason. I guess that's the real motive, because I've never tried to call into a place and say, oh, this employee did this. um I guess, unless someone I felt rude to me, like insulting, which I have had happen a few times. I don't feel the need to try. Like, some people will try to get someone in trouble or fired for not knowing something. Like, if they call somewhere and they ask, "Hey, you guys sell this?" I'm not sure, sir. Why don't you know the answer? Or they won't say anything. They'll just hang up, and then they'll go and write on the website, "Oh, specific employee here answered, and they didn't know the answer to this question." Like, God forbid people aren't walking encyclopedias. But see, again, I understand when the employee is rude. That's where it makes sense to me. I certainly would be annoyed if that happened to me, especially if I put the time and effort to compose that just for someone else to leave without any good reasoning. So, Megumi, um, just hypothetical. Let's say you are a employee somewhere, right? and I'm upset with your business because I tried to print out some pictures and they looked bad, or some kind of other coloring issue. Something happened with a printer, which you have no control over because you're not a technician. That's just the product that happens to be around you. So I come up to you. You're the person that I first one I see when I come in the door, and I say I have this issue with this computer. This thing's like whatever. I'm explaining it, and you're wearing a mask, right? You can't smile at me. You can't really show with your face other than your eyes and your like the top part what you are reacting to and what I'm saying. So you're nodding your head as I speak, and you say hmm to symbolize that you're listening to me, and then I respond to that by going who's the rude one? You, the person who tried to listen to me while I moaned about my troubles with the printer, or the person who was explaining something and then is like who's explaining something and who is already angry when they come in and mocks you for a verbal tick, mocks the person who's trying to help them. I'd love to know who's the rude one, the employee who's trying to listen to this person who's already angry complain about whatever they're complaining about, or the customer who's already angry and who mocks the employee for their verbal tick or mannerisms. I'll never understand how you can contort that to being my fault. Like, you don't think a woman who's or let me not use gender. You don't think a person who's already upset is gonna find something else to like try and show their anger toward you over? Because I had a person say you shouldn't have nodded your head and said mm-hmm. It's like what else am I supposed to do to show this stupid bimbo that I'm listening? Like I don't understand. You look the person in the face, and I guess maybe the issue here is that um, when you have to do one of these shifts for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, you start to kind of get used to the way people are. And from my experience over the last 2 weeks of having this thing going on, I have not seen anyone else who mocked me for saying or for nodding my head as they speak, as I'm listening to what they're saying. I've observed that most customers are benevolent, and if they are upset, generally they won't like take it out on you. Definitely not the employee in that circumstance. There is no need for the customer to do that. And I had a person who tried to justify this trash today. I'm like, imagine if the situation were reversed and I come in someplace already pissed off because of whatever happened before this employee even got there or was involved with this specific incident. And I go up to this employee, I'm telling about what bothers me. And let's say the employee is a woman, because that's how you get sympathy instantly for anything. And I'm explaining this to her, and she nods her head as she maintains eye contact with me, and she says, and I go, I would be seen as rude. Nobody would be defending me. Like, I'm not allowed to be a prick to people that haven't done things to me. And a lot of times you can't even be a prick to people who have done things to you, especially on the internet. I just couldn't believe it. Like, people, like, I really do believe there is and no one's ever going to say it. No one's going to admit this, but there is a concentrated effort to make men as miserable as possible. And let me explain what I mean by that. It's one thing to have to get up and go to a position where people sometimes are nasty for no reason. Sometimes you genuinely can't assist someone because things are confusing you. Um, but it's another thing to have the people that you trust, you feel like you can let your hair down with metaphorically, be so antagonistic that they try to side with a rude customer, a person who's pissed off from the second she walks in there, who insults your mannerisms as you are attempting to communicate to her that you're listening to her, nagging crybaby fest. You just always have someone who's ready to hang a man by a cross. every time for like for just and those just signs and gestures of acknowledgement though, how are you in the wrong for this? Holy cow, that's insane. Like I feel like if I interrupted this woman to say, okay, yes, that would be seen as rude as well, right? So if you're just nodding your head to show that you're listening to them and then they respond that way, it's like, what the hell is wrong with you? Um, that's why I said that with a lot of these positions, a lot of customers do think that employees are their slaves, and it's not even just a thing of like, oh, get me this, get me that, but they feel like they can talk to you and treat you any way that they want, even if it's unprovoked. Because I've seen where some employees are rude to a customer, customers rude back. They're like just so antagonistic for no reason. Yeah, I'm not in the mood for that. So can someone just we have enough clowns. Ugh. Just to give you another example of the ridiculous stuff that's come out of the last 2 weeks of this new enterprise. I want to imagine if you were working somewhere and you're in a job where you see dozens of people every day coming into your store, and overwhelmingly the people are decent, nice. They're just in there to get something and go. You're able to do this. And out of these dozens of people that you see every day, out of these hundreds of people who come in here every day, two of them out of the dozens and hundreds that come there every day and week go online and write negative reviews about your customer service. Imagine like that being something that would actually matter. Like two people complained about this person out of the hundreds that they encounter every week. And would you like to know what their complaints were? Because at first I thought, oh my god, because I always believe I'm like mild mannered. I try to just speak to a person in a cordial way unless they're rude to me for no reason. There was a woman who came into this store, and listen, I will maintain this point for as long as I can. Nobody reads newspapers. No one reads newspapers. Nobody that I know goes to stores and finds like everyone I know that even that looks up the news, they either watch it on TV or they go online. I don't know anyone in real life other than people that I just encounter once that reads newspapers. So, I don't know where this thing is because no one ever asked for it. This woman comes in, she asks where the paper is. I say, I think it might be up there. Again, I don't know where this stuff is because I've never had anyone ask for it. Um, Buys the paper. I do the transaction. She's out the door. Imagine my surprise when what I thought was a decent interaction with a seemingly, like maybe a little bit of miscommunication start. Like maybe, you get the idea that it was no one argued, nobody was rude, just a relatively new employee didn't know where something was, and they quickly found where it was, or it was quickly found out where it was, and then you bought it and then you left. You got what you wanted, and the person wasn't mean. They weren't nasty. Imagine how after an interaction like that, as mild mannered as can be, this person goes online and they say the employee did not seem too bright. I'm just sitting here, and when I read this review, my mouth drops to the floor. I'm like, excuse me that in this store where people literally ask you for everything, I don't know where one thing is. And that's sometimes happened with other people. Usually I'll just use they give you like a walkie-talkie. I'll just call someone on there like, hey, do you guys know where this thing is? That at worst, that's what I do. If I don't know where something is, just ask somebody else who's been there longer that'll know where. But I was shocked. I was like, really? That's what you complain about? Yeah, they recorded the video of me interacting with this lady, and it was cordial. I couldn't believe it. Was like this is really what is complained about. This is something that you felt like. Imagine interacting with someone for less than 3 minutes, right? On one particular morning. You ask them where something is, they don't know where it is. You find it, you buy it, that's it. And you feel you're like so triggered by this tiny, like, can you imagine how small the interaction is in just your whole day? Like I literally forgot this person even existed because of how short and uneventful that interaction was. And they go online and cry about it. Just like I, this is why I said I've been to places where employees didn't know where stuff was, and they go and they ask another employee where it is. They say, "Look on this aisle," and I have never felt tempted to go and try to get them in trouble by writing a negative review of them. To like, it's just such a really weird thing to me that an interaction that minor and that short and that small like left enough of an impact on this woman for her to like go and cry about it. Like but that's why I said I don't do this type of stuff to people. So I don't know what it's like to just be a prick for no reason. Why did they feel the need to go and write a bad review online under something so unbelievably trivial? Because people are miserable. They want other people to always have an issue or problem, and they're just not good human beings. They're not, because most people, and this is a fact, do not use any of these websites to review stuff. And usually, if someone reviews a restaurant or some other like business that they walk into, they just say like a general review, like, "Oh, this place is dirty. Oh, the products cost too much." They don't go and say this specific employee was stupid. And that's why I said there's like a real personal, like, imagine having someone that you thought you assisted, or you to the best of your ability you tried to assist, and then they go online and say you're not too bright. I'm like, Bimbo, if you were so smart, why didn't you? Because like, you come in here every week for the same thing. It's always up there. Why didn't you know where it was? And remember, if you say any of this type of stuff to these people, or if it's discovered that I would discuss this in this type of way even here, I'd be the villain. I'd be the bad person. No one would go and say, "Well, wait a second. You had this employee who tried to do the best of their ability, right, at this new position, and people were nasty to him as he tried to assist them. So he's going to naturally be nasty back." But see, that's why I said that no one cares about men, because when people do screwed up things to us or say nasty things to us, we're expected to be held to this like inhumane standards that no normal person would be expected to not repent against. You remember the woman who said, "Be the bigger person," when I was talking about how this one lady upset me to where I want to do a video on her and like show proof and screenshots and the like. It's like you can't expect someone to be disrespected when they're not being disrespectful towards other people, to be antagonized when they're not being antagonized by other people, to have this like weird position of, well, I just have to put up with everything and not say a word, and don't discuss stuff. Like, what do you expect that person to do, or to react? Yeah, it's more like it is a personal attack. I just, I really, all this does is show people will complain about anything. But that thing on Tuesday really drove me nuts. I was like, wow, you like, I genuinely tried to help that lady and she acted that way. And like, I know that if the situation were reversed and I went somewhere and like mock someone for nodding their head as they're listening to me, I would be considered a prick, and for good reason, because there's actually standards that men are held to. Like, I can't just go into a business and start, like, being nasty toward employees for no reason. Like, what? Because I'm mad from something that happened before I got there. Just it's so. That's why I said it always feels like you're expected to be held to this standard. Would you write Misery Loves Company? No, you know what? Megumi, you saw No Way Home, right? Remember when Green Goblin's on the glider and he's like, Peter, 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 no good deed goes unpunished. You can thank me later. That's what this thing is with these people. You try to assist them. You go out of your way to be courteous, to be polite, and sometimes at worst, maybe you don't know exactly what they want, but you will get another employee that can better suit whatever they're asking. And then they go online and they write nasty stuff about you or they insult you personally. It really is no good deed goes unpunished. I maintain the position that in real life I am mild mannered. Like you usually won't see me just come up and start being like, even if I'm upset over something, I will explain it to an individual. Like in a especially if someone I've never met before. Like I'm talking to, someone like one of my relatives I've known my whole life. I'll get on there and say it in whatever kind of brazen, angry way possible. But if I'm in a place of business and there's an issue I have with the product, with the way someone acted, whatever, you won't see me act this way. Like I'm not going to curse out the people that work there. I'm not going to antagonize them, right? Like I just think it's so strange that this is accepted, and the only people being held to any standards are the people that work there who aren't even the issue to begin with. LOL, yeah, that's just certainly does apply here, but damn, that's real unfortunate that people decide to take out their frustration. Oh, that person decided to take out her frustration on you. Then of course you need to remain professional and abide by the code of the customer is always right nonsense. I would love it if someone needs to make like a parody video. Like we talk about these little parody videos, like a parody video where some customer goes inside of a business and he like explains what his issue is with the business, and the woman front's nodding at him, and he's like, "Can you do it?" Like obviously insulting her by mocking a physical gesture she is doing to show that she's listening to him, and then uh he's like cursing at the person that's trying to help him, and he's like, the customer's always right, the customer's always right. Just to show how ridiculous that rule is. By the way, they do this to other people too, like write nasty stuff. People act nasty and antagonistic because they're miserable and want to drag everyone down to their level. It just really sucks because I've seen my interactions with most of the customers that come in, and they most of them do not act like this. They want to come in there, grab something, pay for it, and leave. They don't come up to you and when they're explained, because there are some people who come and have like a different issue, but they don't, just like the level of. I'll give you a good example. There was a guy that was upset because he had to pay some bill or something. It was like I don't remember what the specific thing was, but he was like he put his phone in front of me and he was like, these a-holes didn't do this thing that they were and even though he's not being professional, I'm not offended because he's not insulting me, and you can clearly tell that his anger is directed at the people who did what he feels was something to him. He's not upset at us for being like caught in the middle of this, ongoing issue. Like that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. That I'm not upset that someone is angry, but if you're going to start antagonizing the people that are there to assist you, I don't really get the point of that either. It just feels nice to vent about like frustrated, because I already said before, life is just in real life and stuff online. It can be so miserable um, that sometimes just you just want to explain why it sucks, why it's not good, why it's not enjoyable. And it really is awful when you get a position where you feel as if the majority of interactions are decent and you have these people who are just like unnecessarily angry. Like they are upset at you to where you would think that you did something to them personally. And I always think about my interactions with employees at places, and I can't remember doing this type of stuff to people, you know. So I just, but that's why I said that a lot of times, you get like the reverse of the golden rule. Like you treat people decently, and then you get treated like trash. Ugh. It's just really unfortunate that we can't live in a society where there's like a basic code of ethics for the way you treat other human beings. And I do want to also say that the majority of people that have acted nasty toward me in person have been women. Like I'm not even saying that to be funny, and I think it's a equal amount of like people that are upset over something. But the majority of bad interactions I've had with customers have been chicks. There was a woman that came in the same day that the other one that was upset about the newspaper, and she was trying to get some kind of like deal um, with a coupon, and sometimes in the machine it doesn't register a deal that was put on there recently. So I have the manager come to like fix it or whatever, and then so my protocol is to always ask someone if they want a bag, right? That's like part of what I'm supposed to ask each time they come in. And she's like, and I'll take a bag. Like, oh, okay. You didn't ask me for one, which I know is complete BS because there's literally not a single person that I've done a transaction with that I haven't asked if they'd like something to put their purchases inside of. That's complete hogwash. But you get the idea. Just general antagonism, nastiness. And we have talked about this before. A lot of chicks in real life think they can get away with being rude to men or to like just people in general because they think that since they have a vagina, they won't get in trouble for acting in an uncivilized, animalistic manner. Like I fully believe that if I was just like acting the way that for example, the one that made fun that insulted me for nodding my head as she was explaining her issue. I believe if I did that to someone, it would like you would at least have the maybe not that particular employee say something like, can you relax? Like we understand you're upset, but you don't have to be so hostile. Just there's like just this anger that I just think is undeserved. I'll put it that way. Because I always come into these positions. I have stuff that happens outside of this as well. They talk about you compartmentalize things that bother you. You don't take it out on people that haven't done things to you. That's one of the reasons we had the issues with the chicks online. That so many of them will like have a problem with something that doesn't have anything to do with you, and then they'll take it out on you by ignoring you or not responding to you for weeks or months. Just like different stupid stuff like that. It's like the way they act in the internet realm is the same way they act in real life, where they're upset over something that has nothing to do with you, but they take their anger out on you because you have the unfortunate experience of having to deal with their conceited, stuck up, annoying behinds. It really is no good deed goes unpunished. I just think people they don't want anyone to just have a decent time. They have to be as awful as possible. I was actually before the thing happened on Tuesday because it really was something I just kept thinking about just like, I think that was really rude, and I want to talk about it. So, that was like the main thing I was thinking about these last 2 days, in terms of just what I wanted to stream about. But I was also thinking that, there's like a running gag when I speak to different chicks where if you want to like have a call with them or talk to them, like maybe you don't do a call, but you want to like type stuff to them, right? And they don't respond for days, weeks, or months, they will always say they're busy. So just an example, if you remember the woman who said that she had what's it called? I was gonna say boob surgery, breast implants. Um, I asked her very pointedly, do you not want to speak to me anymore? Because I'd rather just this end than me sit here and have to keep hoping that someone will finally respond. She says, I've been so she's like, I totally forgot to respond. I've been so preoccupied with personal matters that I tend to go missing in action, LOL. And then she claims other people are also being ignored or like not answered back by her. And and I was thinking about the other chick that was on the one that said that stupid Roof for the Killer trash. And it's the same thing with her, where she's talking about she works 50-hour work weeks, which I'm still on the fence. I want to believe that, but then also, week after week, no response. This Friday is going to be, or tomorrow's the third week of her. Like, and I just, it seems like this is what they do. They get on here, they talk to some guy or whoever for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, maybe some months, and then they start ignoring that person. And the excuse that they always have for showing that they don't care to talk to you is, I'm busy, I have to do this other thing, I am preoccupied, I'm so busy. And remember, we always have to clarify, we're not talking about someone sending you a message every day, every week, but does it really take 2 weeks to send someone a message saying hi, or a month to say, oh yeah, I've been all right? I just don't believe it. And that's why I said that interactions with chicks are so miserable, because you interact with them for a little bit and you get along. They find you amusing for a while, and then after a couple of weeks, a few days, they just stop responding. And the excuse they always have is that they're so, like, all of them are just so busy. That's why I wanted to make a video where just at the end of it I say I might as well not even approach any chicks ever again, because they don't have time for it. They're all so busy. They're all like, doing their 500 hours a week, jobs that don't allow them to ever speak to anybody. They're so busy. I shouldn't even say 500. They're 100 hours a week jobs. They're all so busy. They don't have enough time in a year to say anything to you. So busy. I'm gonna be like that soon. I'm just gonna like not do any streams for a month, and you'd be like, "Why haven't you streamed since last year? I've been so busy." Like, damn, I know it's literally takes less than 30 seconds or so of their time just responding to a short message back. Too busy, dude. I swear. Sometimes when I talk to like, look, if you can't have a phone call with someone every day, whatever, but like just saying hi. Like, I want to actually get out my stopwatch, like a little stop clock, and see how many seconds, because it's not gonna take a minute, how many seconds it takes to say hello. I really am tempted for like to do an edited video just compiling all the different messages from chicks talking about how busy they are. Like, what, they can't do anything because they're so busy. So this stuff really is like a cartoon. Like, you have women who sound like they act like they're CEOs of companies. Like, even they're not this busy. They go on vacations all the time. Jesus. So busy. Every day you try to talk to one of them and they can't even send a message back, and you wait week after week for just this one little itty bitty rinky dink message, and they can never so busy. And again, I've tried to temper. Remember what that clown said, right? It would do you best to not expect so much from someone. It's like, what are you supposed to expect from a person who claims they want to speak to you, but they can't even write one message back for a month? What they really mean is that they don't want to talk to you, do they? Or they would make the effort, take a little bit of their time to respond. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. It is not hard at all to take 2 minutes to type up a sentence or two saying, hey, look, I want to talk to you. I should be free to talk next Saturday, next Sunday. That's what me and my best friend do. You know, it's like he's busy during the weekdays with his job, but he said, hey, you call me on Friday, we can speak. So I wait until Friday, and almost every week we speak on Friday. That's what happens when two people actually want to talk to each other. That's what happens when two people actually want to communicate and like are genuinely interested in hearing what the other person has experienced throughout the week. It's just so sad that and that's why I said that a lot of times with these relationships, and remember, these aren't even romantic ones anymore. Like these are chicks I haven't shown any romantic interest at all because I'm done with them. Um, but it's like you can't even have platonic interactions with these bastards because they won't respond with a sentence saying hi back or I've been all right or for like a whole must be 20, 30, 40 days. Akatsuki merchant, don't write any more comments. I normally I would read them, but I'm so busy. You know, at least if I don't do an episode of my show for months because it takes a long time to even to do some of these. Like draw 600 pictures, run around trying to get voice actors to do this, you know, edit, take the time to edit and compile all of it. There's a lot of stuff, but like to just send a message to somebody, that takes a month. Really? So, like I said, she's got one more week and then I'm done. I'm closing the book on that chick. So busy. Oh, didn't James type something earlier? I would have read it, but I'm so busy. Oh, he deleted his message. Okay. Yeah, I forgot to read it because I'm so busy. Don't have enough time to do anything. I tell you, these chicks always like they always have. Oh my god, so many excuses, and they're all so interesting and preoccupied. It's like, what do you even do? And then remember, if you confront them over this, you're the bad guy. Like, why did it take you 3 weeks to write me back? So busy. Like, can you write back more often? I guess I'll try, but keep in mind, I'm so busy. That needs to be a song. I met this woman and I wanted to talk to her. But when week after week went by, she turned into a blur. And I wondered why she wouldn't write back to me. But then she said she was just so busy. So busy. That's the name of the video. Like, I can't talk to women anymore because they're so busy. Like, they don't have enough time to do anything. I'm surprised they even still eat. I don't know, man. It just seems like stuff is much more frustrating than it needs to be. Like to just talk to this person, you have to wait multiple weeks for one message. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, If it takes this long to get one response, how are you ever supposed to get to know this person? They won't even write anything back. I told the story of the broad that I approached at I think it was the mall. It was like 3 or 4 years ago. And I asked her for her number and she gave me her Facebook. And then she was saying that she couldn't talk to me because she was busy trying to go to school and go to work and, 900 different things she was trying to do, which didn't even make any sense because then why would you give me your number or your like a way to communicate with you just to not communicate with me? And it that was like the first one where, you know, I recognized like I don't believe you can't speak to me. But it was also like, what was the point of doing this? Like, it also didn't make any sense for her to do that and then not be interested in speaking to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just it was weird. But it's that same thing of like, I'd rather they just tell me I don't want to talk to you than like sit here and week after week, month after month, you're waiting for a response and you get nothing. Like the whole reason I did the "Women Don't Care About You" video was just to show that, it's so easy to communicate with someone if you're actually interested in talking to them and to set something up, um, and like actually make an attempt at speaking to this person you claim to be so interested in talking to. That I just don't believe them when they say, "I'm so busy. I have all these things going on." I tell you, they sound like CEOs of companies. Like they go to like they go to a board meeting and then they fly to some other country. I'm so busy. I tell you, people are just they're really frustrating. They're repetitive. I always remember the person who said I was my content was repetitive. I was like, yeah, life is repetitive. I'm just so tired of this woman stuff, and I really I got rid of one of them actually. I think it was yesterday, day before that. Um, and I went a little bit further with her than the other ones because she like knows about my account and all the rest of that. And I just it's so weird to have someone who you never argue with, like you had no argument with whatsoever, right? But because she is so unwilling to just send you a goddamn message, to just write one little message to you saying hello for 2 months. You just say, I can't put up with this anymore. I'm done with you. I'm sick of you. Like, get out of my face. And I found that so sad because she literally never argued with me. We didn't have a single argument in the multiple months of correspondence, but she just abruptly stopped responding. She was online every day, and this went on for 2 months. Like it just drove me insane. I was like, this is stupid. I'm not gonna keep putting up with this. So yeah, I blocked her, I unfriended her. I just said, get out of my face, go away. And I don't feel bad because if you met some of these stupid people, they would actually try to talk to you, especially the ones that usually what they are doing during that time is playing games. You see them online on Discord, or I should say Piscord, or just watching YouTube videos. Dude, so many of these chicks are not. They just say they're busy because they don't want to respond to you. That's just an excuse. Because let me tell you something. If I was really as much of a Klingon or hanger on or whatever as these people like to make it sound like, I would be mad they didn't respond to me for a day. I would be mad they didn't respond to me that week. But I give them multiple weeks and they just won't say anything back. And I don't the more time that passes, the more insane you look for saying you were too busy. I'll put it that way. If it's been a week and you still haven't responded to somebody and you're talking about you're too busy and you really want that person to believe that you just never had a window where you could say hi to them, get out of my face. So I said it's really unfortunate that people believe stuff like that. That they actually get men to put up with them when they do this type of stuff to people. Because when I unfriend them, it's not even like, for example, the one that was in my DMs about the the breast implants. Me and her have never argued. I find her to be very I don't want to say agreeable, but like someone who I think I would get along with well. But that's what makes it all the more frustrating that she can't just write a message back, that you have to wait weeks to just get this person to say hello. And that's what makes me just want to say forget about it, because she's not even making an attempt to keep it going, or to like actually keep in contact with any regularity. Now, if you remember the other one, I don't know if you remember, it's the one that last month tried to like say that I was um playful accusations or some garbage like that. That one I'm really getting sick of. But I feel like I'm probably gonna unfriend both of them at the same time, because it's that same thing of like two chicks that you try to make it work with and they won't. Like, it's not even romantic, just like it's a prison to talk to them in a platonic way too, because it's just not fun. And it's really frustrating to sit here and have these like extreme periods where they won't say a word to you, especially when you know that there were times where they didn't act like this. So, you just throw your hands up and say forget about it. So I said that woman stuff, man, it's a nightmare. No, I didn't even want to mention this position on here because you remember the thing that happened last time. I that gut feeling about something bad will happen, and I knew something bad would happen. Um, it's just really unfortunate that I guess I always feel a vindication when I know that I have tried as hard as I can to do something to the best of my ability. So if I begin a new position and maybe I don't learn how to do everything on the first day, but I'm actively remembering how to do certain things. I'm taking, in some cases, taking notes on how to do these other things. Um, and I believe that I am learning as quickly as I can, and able to perform a lot of tasks already with like the way someone who's been there longer would. I don't feel bad. Like that's the thing. The internet always tries to make someone feel ashamed of themselves, but I look at a lot of the different stuff, my record, and I don't feel awful. Like you look at the chick thing, it's like, yeah, a man that accepts all of these different chicks for who they are enough to go on a date with, you're gonna tell him he should feel bad for for them doing that, like to him over and over, just like never receiving the same type of care in return. Don't congratulate me yet, because the one from last year, I was jumping up and down. I was so excited, and you saw that turned out. So I'm not celebrating yet. I will say they're better as far as they actually have been giving me hours, which is why I didn't stream last Monday. But I'm still, I'll admit I'm afraid that the same thing will start happening again. I mean, the internet is just such an irritating place. I guess that's just the difference between me and these places, that I do believe I do a decent job of compartmentalizing things, like not bringing it with me there. But it is hard to not think about like certain ways that people act toward you, especially when those interactions are only because of your position at a certain place or not. And I guess I've always felt that with a lot of the nastiness that gets directed my way, it's usually someone starting it with me versus me just doing it, like causing an issue with them. So if you believe you're trying to assist someone and they act that way, I think that if the situation were reversed, I would be criticized for behaving in such a manner towards someone that was trying to be attentive to me. But like I said, there's no code of ethics for customers. They can come in there and curse you out and call you all kind of names, and very rarely do they get any kind of repercussion for it. Yeah, I'm not doing any kind of celebratory dance this time because I do firmly believe in the curse, like just that there's some kind of otherworldly presence, or I don't want to sound too spiritual, but like some kind of other factor that is out of my control that makes certain awful stuff keep repeating itself. Um, but with the employment situation, it always was like, it. I'm more inclined to believe that might change only because it didn't go on anywhere near as long as the woman stuff. Like that's only about a 3-year saga, whereas the woman thing is like 11 years. Just the same thing happening over and over. So I would be more inclined to believe that this issue would finally be settled, but still not going to hold my breath. Told you, when you keep having bad stuff happen to you, it is hard to be positive. I mean, hell, I was complaining on Monday about all the little like issues with my computer and the struggles of like trying to do straight. And look at what happened today. You've got some clown making multiple accounts to spam the same stupid message. Like, and remember, we're getting this on a stream where we don't even have 10 people watching. Stuff like that's just weird to me, and that's why I said that like there's a bigger hassle than reward associated with these things. Understandable. You do what you need to do and hope it goes well. I just can't imagine like Megumi, you have like dozens of people that come into your place of business every day, hundreds probably every week, and because two of them complained online, you're supposed to like listen and be receptive. And I mean, the stuff they complain about is insane to me. Like the one person writes in the review, oh, they don't have this product. I have no control over the talk about his flippant answers. Like we had so many people ask about this product, and every time they come in, I say, we don't have it yet. We should have it by this Friday or next week. And out of all these people, you're the only one who came online crying about it, and you're not, and I'm supposed to like feel bad, flip and answer. Like, what do you want me to say? Uh, Whatever, man. So I said I need to just do that drawing of me just on the cross. I get blamed for stuff that's out of my control. They act like I'm supposed to leave. I don't know, leave the building and go to the local warehouse and grab some of this product. Like it's so weird, man. I'm gonna write a negative review about Megumi. What did he do? Well, they didn't have this product that he has no control over them having, but I didn't like his answer about the product. Oh, what did he say? There was someone that wrote on there that we had prices that were not extremely. It was like not the nebulous terms, not extremely high, but not extreme, but not too low. What? You get where that's weird? Like what are you even talking about? It's not extremely high, but it's also not terribly low. Like, whatever. People just love talking in riddles. I probably won't do a stream on Saturday because I'm gonna be so busy. Like I swear, I could make a whole compilation video of just all the screenshots of different chicks saying they've been busy or they're busy or whatever. Like so many of them say that. And you remember this is after you don't hear from them for like weeks or months. And it's like, who are you trying to fool? You can't trick the tricker. Like if you have a person who patiently waited for you to respond to them week after week, and then you want to say that it takes you a month to write them a message, a little one sentence message, that makes you look insane. The unfortunate thing about reviews is that they don't go away. It stays on there for anyone to read, so someone can easily just write whatever to tarnish the business. Yeah, and I think that's really scary that you can just, I mean, I think about the newspaper interaction with this woman. It's like I was cordial to this person. I didn't know where this product was because no one ever asked for it, so thus I have no experience with you know, with with it, like with knowing where it is, because no one ever seeks it out. So the idea that you would get so upset about this interaction where you got what you wanted, the employee was not rude to you, they attempted to help you to the best of their ability. Like I don't. It's like, what else did you want? That's why I said rude for no reason. Like what else are you supposed to do but besides help the person? And it's like, imagine if I went somewhere and I want to buy something from a store that no one besides me is interested in, at least, to where they're like asking for where it is. And new person doesn't know where it is. I grab it, I find it, I buy it. I ask them maybe about some other product. They say they don't have it yet. And then I leave. I get what I wanted. The person to help me to the best of their ability. And I still go online to complain. And of course, reputation is the big deal in business. Dude, I just don't know what else I could have done. Like, I don't even remember these interactions with these two people because they're like, I remember the like really nice ones where I'm like really cordial with somebody or funny, or like the really rude ones. Like, they were just like run of the mill. Here's your thing. You paid for it. Now you can leave. Like, I was shocked. I was like, who is this person? So I said, people always like, I'm gonna keep saying this. People act like villains. What would I look like if I tried to get someone in trouble or a business in trouble because I came in there one day and the new employee didn't know where a product was, even though they tried to help me find where it was, and I still ended up getting what I wanted? I'd look like a villain because I got what I wanted. The employee was did the tried to help me, and I still complained. I'm still crying. I'm still nagging. I'm still whining. Like it just drives me nuts, man. Like you just can't. Hey, remember the picture from my videos? So either way, I just can't win. Like if you're rude to this person, they would go online and complain about you. And if you're cordial to them, but you don't know what this thing is, they complain about you anyway. Yeah, it's really ridiculous. I tell you this, like, God, man, I don't understand people at all. I've never gone somewhere, got what I wanted, and then been like, well, let me go online and besmirch this business. Jesus, man. People just they are never satisfied. They can literally get what they want and they still are upset or angry or like have a problem or are, like in whatever type of state of bereavement. Like it, what else do you do to assist these people? Because remember, when they throw a hissy fit and they're crying and nagging you about whatever, they're not the ones who are going to get in trouble. It's you. Even if you tried to help them, even if they got what they wanted, even if you were polite to them, nice, whatever, they will still be able to treat you like trash. Or if they get what they want, still complete. Like it really is just this cycle of people having to have an issue with anything. It's all it is. But see, that's the kind of stuff that makes me not feel comfortable enough to like come up, because my original plan was just not say anything about this position until it had been a month or 2 months. But it's like people treat you like trash, right? So you feel like you want to vent about it, because I do that sometimes if somebody treats me a certain way, and people in real life aren't being as supportive as I would care to see them be. Uh, and then that this unsatisfiable group of people can directly lead to you getting in trouble. So you really are just damned if you do, damned if you don't. I had this one person, they're like, I don't know what the problem is, I have negative reviews as well. Like, yeah, but you're not, like, I wouldn't care either, because it's two people out of how many hundreds. But if you're confronted by the person on top of you, your boss, about these reviews, you're probably going to take them a lot more seriously than you would have. Like, I wouldn't even go on there to look. Yeah, man, these people are miserable. I just thought that thing on Tuesday was so disgusting. Like, I'm just thinking about other customer interactions, like with them being needlessly rude. Like, I remember last year at the place, I was to do the call-in orders, I had to like punch this guy's credit card number in, and people were like loud in the background, and I'd never used the machine before. Just like a myriad of things, right? Like sometimes you can't hear somebody over the course of this like old antiquated phone, and you don't know how to use this device properly. So if you make a mistake on one of these numbers, the thing won't go through. So you ask him to repeat himself. He gets so he's like, "You're not listening. Let me speak to your manager." I was like, damn, like, sorry that I asked you for the number again, because when I accidentally click the thing, it deletes the whole stuff. And of course, that person calls back and you know nags, and even after he gets what he wants, nags and complains. And then the assistant manager is like, "We this person just started, and they don't care because they're pricks, and they have no empathy, and they just want to ruin someone's life as much as they possibly can, because they're miserable, and they have nothing going for themselves, and they want to screw up whatever position you have, even if you weren't antagonistic or mean to them in the first place." Just stuff like that. I'm asking because the title of, oh, but what was this about you in DVD playing as killer online? Yeah, I had good matches yesterday until I had this sweat squad that was very frustrating, because they had two people with flashlights. So every time I'd knock one of them down so I can put them on a hook, um, I pick the person up, they shine it in my face, which makes me drop the person and gives them another chance to run and waste more of my time. And then they're gen rushing me. They have three people on a generator, which makes it go by very fast. So by the end of the game, I just turned it off. I just got sick of it. Like, I've had matches where I don't kill everybody and I still have a good time, because at worst somebody might have a key, or they're like doing, it's just like just the extreme organization is what just gets on my nerves, because you can't even do anything. If you pick this person up, you get flashed in your face. If you try to let them bleed out, they're gonna let their they have a thing where you heal yourself so somebody else can heal you and get you up. So they're gonna go and touch one tap this person, they're gonna get back up. So like there's almost nothing for me to do here, especially when they're so organized that the other three people will all start like I just don't find that fun. I put it that way. And we were talking about how people rage quit, but you know what? I'm at a point now where I care so little about this game that I just want to turn it off every time that happens. It is a sweat squad. Like I had one match where they did a generator in like 20 seconds because it was four people on it. Like the match just starts. Just an extreme level of and it's like you guys are this organized on a game on the phone? Really? To where you're bringing multiple flashlights and you have we talked this before. They have these like crutch perks. So sweat squads with crutch perks, flashlights, and crutch perks are what gives them second chances. Like you hit somebody twice, they're on the ground. They had this stupid perk, Dead Hard, where you're about to hit somebody and then they run forward like they're Sonic or the Flash. So you miss them and you have to keep chasing them further, and that allows them to like do something else in the meantime. They have borrowed time where you put somebody on the hook, and then if the person with borrowed time grabs them, they get two lives automatically instead of one, which would be the usual thing for someone that's in the like near death state. There's another perk. I'm forgetting its name. I always remember its name. I'm forgetting it today. Where you basically, if you pick someone up to put them on the hook the second time, they can stab you in the neck, and then they're able to like get back up and have another chance at running away. So there's a lot of perks in the game like those perks and the flashlights make sweat squads. Every time there's a team that is just irritating me and making it to where I don't want to play the game anymore, they have that stuff with them. Or they all bring toolboxes and they're doing gens every 5 seconds. It's just not fun. And then they teabag at the exit gate, like of all, of course, doing this. You know, they can't just leave. They have to make sure you see them leave. There are a lot of matches where again I only get one person, two people, three, but like ones like that really are they're miserable from start to finish and that's why I don't even like recording my matches as killer because I don't know what kind of group I'm gonna go against. Like you can be rank, what's the lowest, like 17, 16, whatever, and you'll go against a sweat squad. The game has no type of system to where you can just have some matches with people who aren't maybe the best survivors, not the best killer, and just kind of relax. Like Jesus. So that was what I was talking about. I might try again today. I just got really tired of that. Yeah, I hate sweat squads. A lot of players seem to like rubbing a loss in each other's faces. Well, that's why I came up with the saying that survivors are not gracious in defeat or victory. When they lose, they rage quit. If you play on PC, they curse you out. And we actually have had like people do videos where they show that some people will tell them to kill themselves because they beat them in a video game, or they'll say something racist or homophobic, or just a lot of like really nasty stuff over a video game match, right? But then if they win, they teabag. Some of them do this thing where they find the hatch, which is the only way to win a match if you're like the last one left, besides trying to like unless you like do all the other generators by yourself. um they find the hatch and they just stand on it so to make sure that you see them leave. Like they can't, like every time I find it, I always once I see it, I leave. No, they have to make sure they have to rub it in your face. Yeah, see, I won. You didn't catch me. Man, these matches are just so frustrating, and like they're so miserable because people just act like jerks for no reason. Like they're just so insistent on making the game extremely competitive. Like how to explain it? All the other matches, people did generators, they got people off hooks, but it wasn't frustrating because they weren't moving like, come on, we gotta go, we gotta do this generator, we gotta do this, let me shine this thing in your face. Like just it's not fun. So I might play it again today. Maybe I'll wait until this weekend. I'm just not in the mood to put up with that. And every time I start seeing those types of groups, I'm just going to leave. I'm like once they pop up in my queue, I'm just going to disconnect. I see two flashlights and like what is it like two toolboxes? I'm good. But it doesn't even. Oh, sounds like it has a flawed matchmaking. Dude, the matchmaking in this game is a joke. You can have a match like let's say you're a rank one survivor, right? You go against a killer that is can't get anybody on a hook, and then you go against another killer who's playing as someone like Nurse that like it takes a lot of skill to play as her, and they're just knocking people down every 5 seconds. Like this game has no type of system for matchmaking. It really is a joke. Like those ranks are just there for display. Like, look at me, I'm a rank one survivor. I'm a rank one killer. They're just there to get you to want to play the game more. But I don't care about ranks. That's why I turned that game off, and I don't even. There have been multiple. There was a period this year actually where I only played as killer. I think it was this year or last year where there was like 3 weeks just me playing as killer. And the only time I'll play as survivor is if someone on my friend list invited me to something because I just got sick of playing solo queue because the survivors were always terrible. So I said people are just so nasty. Look at me, I'm great in a video game. That's why I can sit here and teabag you and make it seem like I'm such a victor because I can play a video game pretty well because I have nothing else going for myself besides this stupid game on my phone. Nobody else thinks that's sad that like I mean just think of these two different like some technically unrelated things together. You have people who don't get paid to play this game. They don't make videos about it, and if they do, they're not monetized. Who are like so insistent on trying to make the killer miserable that they will teabag them, they will flashlight them even if they get somebody on the ground. They will what's another stupid thing? They'll use the same like perks to make chases last forever. Like and they're doing this on a game on a phone. A game on a phone that like, people aren't even supposed to be that invested in anyway. And then you look at the thing with these people at this place, it's like they get so upset over a minor interaction with an employee for maybe like 2, 3, 4 minutes out of their whole day that a few of them, not even not a majority, not anywhere close to being like half, right? Like a few of these people will go online and cry about that employee so that they can get him in trouble and get him fired. No matter how helpful he tried to be, no matter how cordial he was toward them, if they get the slightest bit of something not happening the way they want, they lose their minds and they try to retaliate like villains. Now that I think about it, when did this teabag originate from, or when did this start to become a thing? Well, it really only became a thing with multiplayer games. Like nobody plays. What's a good example? A game where they're the only non, you know, seat. What's the word for? How to explain it? when you have games that are multiplayer online, people and they know that they've won a match or they look like they're winning a match, they do that to like rile you up into like, oh look at me, I'm so good, I'm so great. I won against you. That customer was really silly though. Holy cow. That's why I didn't even want to mention like being hired there. Like I already know if I get removed, it'll be over something stupid. I already know because the way these people work is that if you do one thing wrong or by mistake or accident, they will take it and they will just like they'll make it your kryptonite to be like, well, you did this correct and this correct, but you didn't do that one thing right. You know, it's just what they do. Because we can't just have a happy conclusion. We can't just have someone start a position and they gradually become better at it at the more time that they're there. And maybe there are some things they need help for. Like there are some people that come in there and don't even speak English. So I need to have like, and sometimes no one understands them, depending on what language they speak. But that's like an example of something that I couldn't possibly be prepared to deal with because I don't have like Google Translate. You get the idea. But like we can't just have a happy ending where a person who year after year got the same result gets hired by a place and they become better at this position as they're on it for weeks or months, eventually years. And sometimes they make mistakes, but they try their best. They're always on time. They're always courteous to customers, no matter how rude they are to them in return. And we can't just have that. We can't just have a normal 9 to 5, 40-hour a week position for yours truly. There has to be some screwing up of that by whether it's by other people or by the higher ups. Same thing with the game. It's like we can't just have a game where someone plays as killer and they try to take out the survivors, and maybe they get all of them, maybe they don't. But if the survivors are able to escape, they leave. We understand that each side tried their best. You don't get that. You get these sweat squads every once in a while who are like extremely rushing all around the place, and you can't even do anything. And just stuff like that makes me not want to play the game. Like I'm gonna admit, in some instances, I actually have remembered the usernames of people that are traditionally part of sweat squads, and I will disconnect immediately. I will not play with them again. Like I don't want to be under stress and this like really uncomfortable amount of anxiety from playing a video game. In what world is that logical? In what world is what logical? I just if I ever do record killer matches, it's gonna have to be like a separate series or something like oh, here's me playing as Huntress. The only killer I would ever use against like a known sweat squad, which you can't even do because the way the game works is you pick your killer and then you wait in a little queue time and then you get the team after that. So you wouldn't even know anyway who it is you're going up against until it's too late. Probably would be Hillbilly because he's really fast, like with moving around. And I think even then I still wouldn't want to like I just hate these teams. They make me like really uncomfortable and just not enjoying the game at all. And they're always rude. They're always like annoying. I don't find it enjoyable. So I probably we'll try again, maybe later today, maybe on Saturday. But I'm definitely not gonna be optimistic about my prospects with this stuff because people just they just take this game a little too seriously for my taste. It really sucks because killer is way more diverse than survivor, in terms of like all the killers having different powers. And there is a part of me that wants to like experience those different abilities. But when you have these, I guess the issue is when you don't know if you're going to go up against a sweat squad or not. To play as a killer that you've only played as maybe like 5, 6, 10 times, and even then, the ones you've played as a lot of times, you still might not be able to win against these people. It adds like more anxiety. Like, oh man, why did I pick Wraith when I could have picked Pyramid Head? Like just an example. What world is that logic? Oh man, these teams. I wish I could get teams like this to play with when I play. Like every time I play solo Survivor Q, I never get these types of teams. Like on my side. Unfortunately, that is the nature of online multiplayer games you may come across online. Yeah, but my thing is, I used to like feel bad about just giving up like during the match. Now I don't even care. I just say, all right, let me turn it off. Like I would stand there and just let them leave because I was just sick of all of this. Because remember, when you play as killer, it's 4 against 1, and sometimes those 4 people don't know each other. Sometimes they do, and they're all very organized. But I just didn't feel like putting up with it after that match yesterday. That's why I go these like long breaks without even playing as killer because just it gets too stressful. Like just sit there and play let's say 5 killer matches back to back is stressful. Like I'm always wondering, is the next team going to be the one that has crutch perks and the sweat squad and 4 toolboxes or 4 flashlights? And that's the part that was just driving me crazy. All these add-ons and different. Like, man, this is so lame. So sick of this game. Look at me. I'm a customer and I'm upset about your store not having something that you have no control over. I'm going to write an angry review. Look at me. I'm a customer and I'm upset because my product didn't come back whatever type of way. And I know you're listening to me, but I'm going to basically insult you while you listen to me. And then you're expected to still want to assist me after I've insulted you for no reason other than the fact that I'm a complete douchebag that is upset over things that have nothing to do with you, but is taking out on you anyway because I don't know how to compartmentalize anything. Look at me. I'm a customer. Okay, Megumi says, yeah, that's true. I can understand that. You never know. You may even be going up against a well-organized team and they may all know each other. Yeah. Some of those survivor groups I go against they've never met. It's all random people. And those are usually much easier because they're just not as organized. I have had some people I played with that we get together and we won like out of must be 10 matches, we won like 8 of them. Like most of the killers couldn't do anything against us because we were all like organized. We all do generators and are like pretty decent at, I guess, looping. And there's some maps in that game where you might as well just say forget about it when it comes to like actually like there's like Haddonfield, for example. I hate that map so much. There's a window in the like one the main not the main building, but like one of the houses on that street where I swear you can jump through that thing must be 10, 15 times and you just will never catch the bimbo or douchebag or whoever that's like I'm chasing this person and then and I run after, chase after them again. You go, because it goes like this. They come up from the window up here, and they go this way. So they go, they jump out the window. They go this way. You fall through the window. They go, they jump out the window again. They go this way. You go fall through the window. They jump out the window again. Like, and this just goes on for like a whole minute. Well, and I just said, forget about. Like, I gave up. I was like, this is stupid. Like, that map is literally designed to make it impossible for you to do anything if you're the killer. So I said that game is just it's very frustrating. Look at me, I'm a customer. You have to listen to me. I can treat you like garbage for no reason. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. Like, if I guess what now, if someone starts explaining something to me, I'm supposed to just stare at them because I got made fun of for nodding and for saying so do I just like just stare at the person, don't move at all? It's just so stupid. I don't even know Megumi's LOL on that. I know the next time I play on Haddonfield Survivor, I'm going up to that. If I get chased by a killer, I'm going up to that window because if you are playing against certain killers in that game, they will never catch you. Just jumping through that window up over and over again. The only thing a killer might be able to do to mitigate that is if they have there's like one perk where it'll put bars up on the window so they can't use it anymore. But I got so sick of that. But yeah, I want to know, what are you supposed to do if you're listening to someone and you're not allowed to nod your head, or like, they can't, if you're wearing a mask, they can't see your mouth. So, like, you can't nod your head, you can't make any kind of verbal communication that you're listening. What are you supposed to do? So I say you just can't win. Left for 11 minutes. Well, too bad it wasn't longer. That would have been perfect. When people are nasty and obnoxious, you just like it when they're not around. You're only allowed to stare blank into the customer's face and make them feel uncomfortable or creep them out. I just think it, like, I guess when you have multiple interactions with people and you do this and no one seems to have a problem with it except one person, you start to kind of second guess yourself. But I do that to show that I'm listening. Like, when I talked to the manager, for example, I would nod my head as they were speaking. Like, what else do you do? It's an oxymoron. Yeah, it is. Remember, if you just stand, what I bet you would happen? If I didn't do that, you would have people who would say, "Well, I came up and I asked this employee, and he just what did you write? He just stared blank at me and made me feel uncomfortable." They want you to just be like a robot, like, just so stupid. I think people do the same thing when I'm telling them about something. They nod their head, and they have some kind of like verbal tick, that communicates that they're listening. hmm like, I've had people do it, and I never get offended because it shows they're listening. But that's why I said, when you, like, people in real life are just like and online as well, are just nitpicky bastards. And you just had this angry, hysterical woman that was mad and would have insulted me over anything. And it's just so unfortunate that I have people who are supposed to be in my personal circle that and it's not even people, it's like that one particular person that they always find a way to just make everything my fault. Like it's my fault that this woman who was already angry decided to act that way toward me. Because of course it is. It's always the man's fault. All right, Eston, do you ever get tired blaming the same person over and over again? It's funny. I remember like one of the arguments these guys that were defending the chicks made was like, "Oh, you always blame the women." Like, well, you guys always blame the same man. Like, at least when I blame the different chicks, you can say it's a different one. So there's like a new problem. It's like just keep blaming the same guy over and over again. Yeah, people are just rude for no reason. I don't know which is worse. I think I probably like the reviews actually do hurt the reputation of the store, but I think I probably prefer those to because the thing is a lot of people will be turned off by something and just won't say anything. I think I prefer that to like this really direct rudeness because the only way that woman you know chose to speak to me or act that way toward me is because I was an employee. They know that if I was just any old random person down the street, I wouldn't even be giving them a second of my time or attention anyway. So I say interacting with people just is such a pain. Like it's just it's like they always have some way of ruining stuff, no matter what. It's like the job of the employee is to be courteous and helpful, and the job of the customer is to be obnoxious, rude, arrogant, demanding, you know, entitled. I like how you have people who will say, "Oh, you shouldn't let this get to you." It's like, if I want to talk about something that bothers me, why not? Like, I've never understood this weird need to sweep stuff under the rug. And it's like, if you feel it's redundant, if you feel it's the same thing over, then just go watch somebody else or don't speak to me. But that's why I said I like interacting with my best friend because he actually like listens to what you have to say and he doesn't do the like you should just get over this. Like I'm sure eventually, I won't think about it as much, but it'll be part of that collection of like specific rude interactions that people have had with me over here where they just act like dicks for no reason, you know. People always want somebody to get over it. So get over it. It's like this just happened to you. Get over it. Get over it. It's either get over it or it's your fault. It's usually those two. Oh man. Yeah, that woman stuff. That woman stuff. Customer service role is possibility for a lot of rudeness that exhibit from others. Yeah. I was just really amused by because they had a negative review of one of my female coworkers, and I swear it was like I don't usually sit here and defend chicks if it's not deserved, but I swear to you, she is as mild mannered as you can possibly get from someone. And I have no doubt that that was just someone who was upset over whatever, and they complained about her because she happened to be the person in the front. I like I was shocked. I was like, what? They really doing it just get everybody in trouble. She doesn't argue with anyone. She's attentive. She's not like I do not believe that at all. Then there was another review where someone was I think they were upset because one of the employees didn't speak another language or something. It was weird. I really wish I had seen all the reviews because some of them, the ones I did see, were kind of like. And again, they do it to everybody. It's just that I was the one that was mostly like the face from last week, so you know I was more inclined to be the person that was spoken disparagingly of because of that. Anyways, people just act like pricks. So I hope you enjoyed the stream, and I'll definitely be doing one on Saturday. And have a good rest of your week. I just wish people would be nicer to each other, especially when someone has never done something to you. But I guess as we learned from No Way Home, no good deed goes unpunished.